All right. Are we on?
I'm on, yeah.
I think we're good. Perfect. Welcome to the RDR show, quarantine edition in terms of the book club, right? We're finally doing a book club. I like
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
baby.
We have different reading speeds, but we're still in it.
Reading speed doesn't matter that much, my friend. Yesterday, I was going to call it quit, but I finished a whole book.
Yeah,
Who knows?
that's awesome. Yeah, for me, I like more just reading as much as I want to, until like I get bored or something or I lose interest. So I just read as long as I kind of want to. And
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So the book we're going to talk about today is Ryan Holiday's Stillness is a Key. Am I blocking my face? There you go. Perfect. We'll
Oh
have a
yeah.
copy. Awesome. So wait, why yours have a yellow bar on my top? Why
So
mine doesn't?
yours is one of the first editions, I think, but mine is after it became a New York Times bestseller. So that's what it says at the top.
All right, fine. So
So I got
yours is
this as a
cooler than
gift from
mine.
Rose. So
Yours is cooler than mine. The way it is.
no, so I actually was gonna get he was gonna autograph his first editions.
Uh
He
huh.
had like and I could have bought it, but I never did because
How much?
I it was cheap. It was like $30. It wasn't even that much,
Okay.
and I feel like I should have bought it, but I feel like for me it doesn't really matter the autograph. It's the content that matters of the book more than
Right.
the signature. So
Yeah. Which is a good segue to the question like why are you obsessed with Ryan Holiday this much? Like for me, I heard of him, right? Like I heard him on Tim Ferriss on different podcasts. I know who he is. I have his books on my list. But like to be honest, without you are giving me this book, I probably can still not get to it. Like what makes you like it so much?
yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So it started when I was reading an article from this one marketer who runs this SEO like software,
Mm-hmm.
and he referenced the top books you should read as a marketer. Okay, and
Okay.
one of them was about this is when I was going through like my entrepreneurship sort of mindset, and I was reading a lot about that, how to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the books was The Perennial Seller by Ryan Holiday, right?
Right.
And I was into like when I started getting into reading, so I was like, hey, like maybe I should check this out. So I checked it out, and I feel like I fell in love with the writing style. It was kind of easy to follow. I really like some of the techniques, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like he related to me and more with marketing and my career interests more. And I kind of saw his like I understand like the way he writes and his perspectives and his metaphors about that,
Okay.
and I really sort of gravitated towards that. And so I did more research, and then I saw that a lot of his other books are more kind of like self-help, but they're not self-help. There's two different types of self-help. There's one that's
Uh,
more like kind of preachy. That's
mm-hmm.
more like these are the top 10 ways that you can improve yourself.
Right.
Do this, do that.
Okay.
But his was more introspective. He looks at things in terms of the bigger picture. Like you need to think about it in terms of um, how this is going to help you out. So it's
Right.
just a little, I don't know. That's why I kind of like him.
So he brings more value to you, so to speak, pretty much.
Yeah, like I definitely understand the way he writes, and I kind of connect with that a lot more. And it's very simple as well. It's not like complicated,
Mm-hmm.
the way he writes too. So
Definitely, definitely. And then me, like, have you ever taken any philosophy classes when you were at the U?
I took one at not at the U, but I took some at Slick. I
Uh-huh.
took like a semester like humanities, and I learned a lot. I read some of the Stoics and stuff, some of the
Okay.
Greek like philosophers and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took two or three philosophy, like actual philosophy classes when I was
Hmm.
going to the U. One of the things that we always work on is essays, right? Like you're a philosophy major, you like write essays, and the most important thing is kind of how do you bring up your point? How do you what's the term like express yourself in an efficient way?
Hmm.
Right, and the writing with like big words, writing have like complex writing, it doesn't really make sense because you want to make sure that your point gets to them clearer, right?
Yeah.
So, so definitely, I do agree that Ryan Holiday's writing style is like good. So I guess your favorite part is the part that he would, um, bring out different examples and different historical figures along those lines.
Yeah, like he has really good quotes, really good metaphors. They're kind of digestible, and I bookmark them in the books and stuff, and I find like my favorite parts. And it's just for him, like when I like with certain like textbooks, like in school you would like read and you would need to study, right? For him, like I read, but I don't like analyze it. It's mostly in my head. Like I don't write it down or anything, and I think about it. So it's for me, it's more like it's a different type of reading, which is what I enjoy more. Kind of leisure reading and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
So it's not like that much like content rich. It's about, okay, if I can finish this chapter, because his chapters are really short.
yeah.
That I know that it's like give you like a brief understanding, and then sometimes it's gonna be able to make a big impact in your life, pretty much.
Yeah, like he writes about like in each, I think in his older books, he kind of does it in like his Stillness is the Key, but he brings up in each section a person that describes what the meaning of that, um, you know, um, betterment is. You know what I mean? So like Tiger Woods is like it's kind of like dealing with sort of trauma and kind of like coming out from it like a better person. Because Tiger Woods like he went through it, but he didn't really. Um, he fell apart. He couldn't handle the pressure. And then when he got like really like famous and he accomplished so many things, like he was brought up like differently that he, just kind of fell apart. And it was just
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think the whole, Tiger Woods story in the book is under, let me see, under part two, right? Under a spirit, right? The domain of the soul. And my biggest thing is that, people always say that, right? In diet, in nutrition, is that what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
And with him, he's been brought up by his parents, by his dad, training, in like brutal fashion, quote unquote brutal fashion. He's great. He's a natural talent at it. Like sometimes like you just cannot suppress talent, right? Talents are always going to be risen up to the top if they gave them proper training and proper work ethic, right? But what happened is his life was so emptied. Then once he reached the top, he's like, now what?
Yeah. I feel like it couldn't really like he was a really great golfer, but that was the only thing he was great at. And like everything else was just like a good father, a good like husband, no, a good person, no. Because he even said like in the book, like during dinners, he would just leave. He wouldn't even say goodbye. Or when he would leave his old, I think like in college, like his old like golfing like team, he would leave without even like leaving a note or anything like that. So it's like it wasn't really good. So it's like his inner soul or his inner person um kind of led to his destruction.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a way like he was brought up. That's my biggest takeaway of the book is that, like it says in the book, right? Like he was brought up as kind of a prince and the prisoner in like a psychological experiment.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
yeah,
with like fame and with wealth, I only added to it because, like you're being put on top of such like a pedestal that, people have expectation now, right? Like, what are you gonna do next?
yeah. And this is like towards the end of the chapter, it kind of tells you where like stillness comes from, and it says it's like develop a strong moral compass, steer clear of envy, jealousy, and harmful desires, come to terms with the painful wounds of their inner childhood, practice gratitude and appreciation for the world around them, cultivate relationships and love in their lives, place belief and control in the hands of something larger than themselves, and understand that there will never be enough, and that the unchecked pursuit of more ends only in bankruptcy. So it's like if you're not content with sort of what you have now, it's like the more you have, it's not going to fill that like hole inside of you. You know what I mean? It's like that hole is like going to be filled from whatever comes within yourself, right?
Yeah, and that's come down to both physically and mentally, right? What do you fit into yourself? What do you what do you see yourself doing in terms of, okay, like I'm getting this done, I'm doing this, like what is the value, right? Like it depends on when we will ever be full, right? Like whether we will be still. Like one of the things that in the part two, the Aspiria section, my biggest takeaway is the idea of enough. Right? Are we really have enough in terms of lust, right? Lust for things, lust for other people, what other people want in business, right? Reputation, right? The drive, and when is enough for you? When is enough for me? Right? That is the biggest thing, for a stillness in that regard.
Exactly. And I feel like a lot of people, they pursue, maybe if I have, like more things, right? Maybe like a bigger house or something, or like a bigger TV. It's gonna like fulfill you, but it's like at the end of the day, it's not gonna do anything,
Yeah, and just a TV.
It's like the grass is greener on the other side, sort of analogy, right? Like you think, oh, like it's gonna be better later on, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna be the same. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And the only person that can change that is yourself. You know what I mean? Like you can't like rely on different things or other people to fill that in a way. So it's like just growing the person. It's natural. It's part of the process. Just growing who you are and trying to be better.
Yeah, I mean, self awareness is the key here, right? Like knowing what you want and knowing what you don't want. Like that's one of the things that I found yesterday is that as I was reading a book, I was not ready to do a podcast on it.
Hmm.
After I finished a chapter, after I'm around like 100 something page, because I didn't know what he meant by a stillness,
Hmm.
right? Like that word just hadn't sink into my thinking, and I don't know what he means, right?
Hmm.
And as I made more progress into the book, I was like, okay, I think now I know what he means by a stillness.
Hmm.
So right now, like I'm through with the book, like you are halfway there. Like what kind of a definition do you think? But what does a stillness mean to you? That part I want to
So
know.
so far, like stillness to me is sort of being content in the moment and not necessarily like worried about like the future or like looking at things in a realistic like viewpoint. Like if something negative happens, and that's just part of the process. And it's like you need to be take a step back if something happens, like maybe during this coronavirus stuff, take a step back, actually analyze like this, it's happening, but it's like, are you going to react like negatively? Are you going to like be calm? Are you going to look at it from a realistic like viewpoint? That's sort of like what being like still is sort of not, being affected by the outside world and just kind of being content with sort of what's happening and who you are, right? And how to
Mhm.
solve that pretty much.
Yeah, like here's my thinking on this, because like when people think about a stillness, if you think about like a Buddhist monk meditating on a mountain top and then not moving at all.
Hmm.
People think it's just one motion where you don't move at all, right?
Yeah.
That was my thinking on that top subject. But what I realized is a stillness is a dynamic thing and is different for every other person.
Hmm.
Um, so like I came up with an analogy. I recorded on a podcast last night. I haven't posted it. I'm probably going to post it after this conversation. But let me run it through you and see if that makes sense for you. Okay?
Okay.
So stillness is kind of like blowing bubbles. Okay, either through bubble gun or bubble gum, or through your mouth is fragile, right? Is malleable. Okay. So as we go through life and there is some kind of a windy situation or different air pressure, your bubble are going to get pressed, are going to get deformed, right? But the act
Yeah.
of deforming is when we are messing up. Let's say I say something wrong to my friend, I say something wrong, I done something wrong, but it kind of apply pressure to the bubble, so we become deformed a little bit, right? Now, afterwards, what's really matter is for the person to recognize that and boom, have the bubble come back to it,
Yep.
to its original form, so to speak, right? So this whole process of a stillness, I feel like it's just more about stretching and unstretching, right? Knowing what's going to happen, learning more about yourself, learning more about me, and then we shrink. Go back to the old form and we go from there.
Yeah, no, that's actually like a good analogy, because it's like in life you're gonna get like a lot of stuff thrown at you, at different points in your life. Maybe now it's different from when it's going to be later, but it's like, how are you going to sort of adapt and get back to that place where um it's you're sort of unbothered by it, you know what I mean? You're not going to get destroyed by it entirely.
Yeah, yeah, and then the bubble is is agile, right? You need to dug the trees, you need to dug the leaves, you need to dug the dogs, the cats. You need to avoid them. You need to avoid human beings, right? So you don't pop. Right? Once a person that get tested by real life and then they stretch, if they don't pop back, then the bubble isn't a burst, right? They don't have stillness in life again. So it's that motion that's really interesting in regards of what does stillness really mean in this case. So
yeah,
does
well,
it make
what I
sense?
find interesting, it's I think it does, yeah. One point in the book, he mentioned like stillness is not going to come to you like some in the middle of the night or like during a certain time of the day or a certain time.
Yeah.
It's something that's you have to sort of like practice and learn from and get better at. It's not something that you're going to be in Zen mode, because they kind of like go back to the old school way of like, oh, stillness is like you imagine the monk meditating in the mountains or something, with all the clouds and everything. That's what you have in your head, but that's not necessarily true. And I kind of agree with your point that it's different for everybody. Everyone has their own form of stillness, and you just have to keep practicing at it. And I actually like highlighted this part in the book. It says, do not mistake the pursuit of wisdom for an endless parade of sunshine and kittens. Wisdom does not immediately produce stillness or clarity. Quite the contrary. It might even make things less clear, make them darker than before the dawn. So,
Okay. Yeah.
it's not like a moment where you're going to be like, oh, like I'm still like I'm in Zen mode, like I can
I'm
like
enlightened right now. Oh,
exactly, like everything, like you feel like you can take on the world. I feel like it's something you just got to practice for every situation.
right. Yeah, definitely, it makes sense. I mean, the biggest thing is that recognizing that like that's kind of like the biggest takeaway for me. Um, it's just like how do you define it? And hopefully, after you read the book, you can have your own definition of it, right? Like you have this applied to like your situation. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly sort of like, I don't know, I think he just writes pretty well. It's not the most complicated, and it's sort of easy to digest. And in a way, it's like going back to like why I sort of like the author. I think it's just more like um I think it's just stuff people like to follow, sort of kind of similar to like why people follow like religion or something. It's like they want sort of guidance from something, right?
But the thing is because I kind of want to draw like a clear distinction. I talked about it on the podcast last night. Is that there's a difference between religious and a spiritual, right? Like they are same in some ways, but like people say I'm not religious, but I'm a spiritual, right? People say that, and I think that carries some weight to it because being religious meaning that you somehow you have to be a spiritual, right? Sort of believing there's like a higher being and whatnot, right? Like the Almighty God or whatever you believe, right?
Yeah.
But being a spiritual, I think is a better way to go for me because I'm not religious at all. Is that for you to have the idea of being humbled, right? Being something that okay, there might be something out there that has more power than us, than human beings, right? Like similar to the whole, the ET situation, like aliens. Like it would be nuts for me to not believe that there's not aliens. Maybe we haven't tested yet, but are you saying that in the whole Milky Way, we're the only living and breathing organism in the whole Milky Way, in the whole universe? Probably not. Right? Yeah. So it's that idea of, okay, I need to be humble. I need to be recognizing that there's always going to be somebody better than me at this certain. There's always going to be some kind of a, I don't want to say God, but some kind of a higher power
Mm-hmm.
that can look down on me and make sure that I'm okay. Like in Chinese culture, that might be my grandparents who have
Mm-hmm.
now passed away. They probably look at me right now. Hey, Kevin, what are you doing right now? Right? So
Yeah.
I mean, and like it's that mindset is actually really really good in that regard.
Yeah. And I think it's like everyone needs that sort of like something they sort of find meaning in their lives, you know what I mean? Because it's not, they're just going to go crazy. Like, are you just here to procreate, reproduce, and like, that's it? Or
Mm-hmm.
it's like, is there deeper meaning within your life that you need to like find, maybe just for yourself?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good, man. It's some good stuff. Um, I don't know. This is Obstacles the Way. And I got this from New York, from the what's that bookstore? Strand Bookstore in New York, like one of the biggest bookstores over there. And
Uh-huh.
I bought it used because I like this is the second book I got from him, The Obstacle is
Okay.
the Way. And
Yeah.
then I heard him from podcasts, and I was like, oh, okay, so I had a book list, and I was like, I'm gonna get these books eventually. And
Uh-huh.
this book was on sale, and I was like, oh, I'll just buy it. This one from Portland? No, this was from New York. Yeah, this is from New York. The one that I got
Yeah.
from Portland was another book.
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
got a Kindle version of also it's a key. So
yeah,
also
it's good.
it's a way. So
It's that one's pretty good. It's his first one. I actually it's different. It's more about like going through different obstacles in your life and how to like
mhm.
overcome them and learn from them and stuff. And it's
Yeah, like
pretty
one
good.
thing that like before I read Stillness is a key, I have this question like why would somebody is kind of like young like millennial ish like 30, excuse me, why he is so into a Stoic philosophy? Like, I would like I don't get it like before I read his book, right?
Hmm.
And after I finish Stillness is a key, I think I know. I think the reason is that um, there's a lot of saying, right? Like in ancient Chinese or ancient Greek or ancient whatever, like a Stoics, right? Seneca and whatnot. They were saying something that can still be applied to today's world, right? Even
Yeah,
though they don't have smartphone, even though they don't have car, they don't have electricity, but this kind of like a human nature, a human interaction with the world that didn't change, right? Maybe they're experiencing the world like ancient Chinese or ancient Greek time different than us, but the way of their perception is still human perception,
yeah,
right? I think that's why I think he's drawing into that kind of a into our Stoic philosophy is because of that fact. Well, that's at least how I feel too.
yeah. And it's pretty interesting. Like even though that was written like like hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago,
Mhm.
it's like the humans back then are like the humans now, is that they went through similar thoughts, like feelings, like anxieties, similar mindsets. So it's like I feel like a lot of that stuff he just makes it digestible and easy to understand in the book, because I don't really like reading old historical texts. That's not really my thing. Kind of
You,
bores me.
you don't read the Bible? How dare you not read the Bible?
I read a little bit, but it's like
Okay,
it's
I,
you know
I,
what I
I didn't
mean,
read the
right?
Bible either. Sorry, what?
It's just easier to understand and stuff at the end of the day.
That's
And
true.
I feel like it's those, like all those philosophers and all those like things they went through and they wrote about, it's like that is being translated differently. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people connect with it. Like the one MMA fighter dude, the Sugar Sean, the one dude that has a Patreon and everything, like he reads Ryan Holiday, and I had no idea he read it until like after, like a couple months after, like I followed him and stuff.
Okay.
So it's like I don't know. I think it's cool. It's more like it's more modern. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
it's definitely a modern take on this kind of a situation, and hopefully, like after you read through it, maybe we can assign like a different more chapters. Because my favorite section of the book hasn't come yet. Like it was, it's okay, but there's a lot more to it after that. So.
oh yeah, no, I bet. I read I think it was an Obstacles Away. There's something about Abraham Lincoln, and it's
Uh-huh.
so good. That's my favorite chapter of the book, and I love Abraham Lincoln. You know,
Yeah.
Like it talks about like he like during I think the Civil War he had to like go through so much like adversity and stuff, but he
Mm-hmm.
had to be like confident in what he was doing and in control of what was happening around him and stuff. And that's what sort of
Right.
won him the war in the end. So that was a really good chapter. And I like the what's it called? The John F. Kennedy chapter is pretty good too. The
Mm-hmm.
first one. I know there's another one in there
Mm-hmm.
that
Good.
talks about
Awesome.
his downfall, right?
Right. Right. Should we should we assign more chapters? You want to keep on going?
Sure, yeah.
All right. My favorite part is probably probably the Winston Churchill example.
Mm,
So right now you are what, like one on page
I'm 99. Yeah,
199?
99, 100.
Okay. You want to do another 20 pages or something?
Yeah, yeah. To where?
Let's 134. That's too much for you?
It'll probably take me a few days.
Okay, then 126.
I can do 126. I
Yeah.
usually, in one sitting, I read like 20 pages, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest. 10,
I
20
think
pages.
126 will be good because the last chapter is talking about the idea of enough, right? Like
Mhm.
when when would you have enough? When would you have, enough in terms of physical stuff and spiritual stuff along those lines?
And that's the thing. I feel like people, they don't know what they want, and that drives them crazy. Like, what's your purpose, you know? But it's like, just be content with what you have, right?
Yeah.
That's not saying don't work harder for things later to make yourself in a better position and have
Mm-hmm.
more things, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like those things are not going to fulfill you in your life. You know what I mean?
How do you know if you had enough if you don't know what you want to have? It's like me, like eating, like seriously, like me, like eating, like pizza. Like, I want pizza, so I want 10 slices. That's enough.
Hmm.
Then if I don't know what I want, I could be dinner time. I could be having ice cream for
Yeah.
for the longest time. I'm just like, yeah, like do you really want ice cream or do you want pizza?
Hmm.
And most people they can
Yeah.
answer that question. Like I've been listening to Gary Vee. Like he has his
Hmm.
new like tea time. He does 2 hours of Q&A every single morning. Of people asking him questions, and it was really interesting to see how much people they don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And then
Gary Vee's pretty good.
yeah, Gary Vee is like like over the top is that you need to do this. Like, who cares what people think? I agree with
He's
all of that.
hmm
Go
he's
ahead.
a little preachy. He's a little preachy. But he has some good stuff, some good
Yeah, I mean, like preaching or
content and
not, like
ideas.
people, like it's fun to see because I take Gary Vee's advice, in the form of podcasting, right? Like, that's why we're still doing this. That's why we're still doing. I'm doing a Chinese podcast right now, right? It's same thing, but the thing is that um, people say, okay, cool, like Gary, how do I do that? You know, I remember I was vacuuming my floor, cleaning my bathroom, and I heard this lady saying, like Gary Vee, like like the sales are down, but like, I know you want me to post, but like I posted, but like, I just don't feel like if that's what I want, maybe it's not.
Hmm.
So I recommend you check out like a couple of the tea time with like Gary Vee. He took my name. He took my freaking podcast name. It was tea time with Gary Vee, and then you can see what I mean. But like he's been good. He's providing value to the world. Like 2 hours of Q&A every single morning. So kudos to him. So
Yeah, check it out. Um, that sucks. Yeah, the tea time. Well, it's a pretty common like term, you know.
that's true. That's true.
It
But
sucks.
that's fine. But he's
I
he's he's doing well with it. So
yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it's Gary Vee. He has a huge following.
yeah,
His online presence. It's like if you talk to anyone that knows sort of entrepreneurship, something like anything that follows anything, they're all gonna know Gary Vee. You know, he's one of those guys.
yeah.
But then
But
once you get to know people better, they're gonna know Tim Ferriss. They're gonna know like Ryan Holiday. They're gonna know like all these other people. And it's like if you know just Gary Vee, then it's like I don't really want to like. I don't think you really know what you're talking about. Like you're in the right mindset, but
I
it's
totally
like
agree.
find
But
like Tim Ferriss. He's a great man. He's really like a smart dude, and I think he's better than Gary Vee in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's not far off, right? Like the thing is that people like the hype. People like to hear Gary, you know, swear and you know, like nobody fucking listen to you. You shouldn't care about any other people. Like people like that, but
Hmm.
how many of them is gonna follow through? And Gary Vee said it himself. Is like I know that 99% of you will not follow through with my advice at all, right? Like
Yeah.
then then the following it makes people they make people feel good, but after that they go back to what they were doing before.
Yeah, and I feel like, and I have nothing against people that post like like quotes, like I like when you post like your book excerpts and like stuff from the books, because it's like you're actually reading it and you're actually digesting it.
Oh,
But
you read my book quotes? Nice.
I always read them. I always read them.
Oh,
Um,
good.
but it's like when people just put like take a picture or screenshot a quote from the internet and they post it online, and it's like that gives them like motivation. I find that kind of cheesy in a way, because I'm like, if you're really getting like these like inspiration from this, but at the same time, if you're getting inspiration from that, there's nothing wrong with that, you know, like that's good for you. But
Yeah, but
it's
how
like,
much of that is like genuine though, right? That's
yeah,
what you mean.
don't you want to learn more? Don't you want to like dig deep and like know about um like think about that, internalize it, kind of make it a lifestyle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, I just find that like I want the holistic view of it. I'm not just going to take some advice. Maybe that's why I like Ryan Holiday, because he's very like a genuine person. He's a good person, and so
Mm-hmm.
I like how he writes. So I'm going to support his writing style and stuff
And
like
he's
that. You know?
actually living the same thing. Like I think he lives on a farm or something. I saw his
Yeah,
Instagram yesterday. I was like, what? You really live on a farm? That's cool.
and I think that's cool because it's like he wants to. Maybe a lot of people strive to that. You know, the farm is like very quiet over there.
Yeah.
It's very peaceful. It's away from like society and stuff.
I think
It's cool. I like it.
I think part of the Gary Vee is what he is because he has his office in Manhattan, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's like you know like if you are a environmentalist, if you like eat meat, or if you are meat eater, or if you are burger lover, then I don't believe that you are an environmentalist. Same
Yep.
thing, right? Like you know, it just you know if you're not vegan or like veggie, then or you know a plant based, then you don't have to talk to me about saving the environment because you don't know that much about that anyway.
No,
Anyway,
no, definitely agree. Definitely agree. There's only people lie, you know. I feel like people want to have a persona or a personality type. Um, and then everyone should, because everyone's like an individual and unique.
uh-huh.
But it's like if you're like all about sort of what the internet's telling you to be or follow, how to
Mm-hmm.
look, how to dress, what to wear. It's like that's not, it doesn't matter, you know, just be yourself. You know, if
Yeah,
you like wearing whatever you like to wear or liking whatever you like, then it's like there's nothing wrong with that, you know?
yeah. I mean, it was
That's why you
funny.
shouldn't get AirPods.
No, no AirPods for me. Well, I'm gonna drop a G and a half on the freaking iPad Pro. Okay, you should be happy about that. So
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's something that you like, you know, and it's a good
sure.
product.
Sure. I
You're
mean,
not getting it just for the branding too. You're getting it because it's like it's holistic. It's like it's a great, you know, OS system. You
yeah.
know what I mean? I totally get that.
I mean, it's funny. Like when I launching the my podcast on this app called Himalaya, right? Like both my parents are on there and they're listening to like you know classes and audiobooks and lectures and whatnot. And then for the first little bit, like every single time I post on there, like maybe it will be a Chinese version of the book review, right? That's what I released last night. In the beginning, my parents are like, Kevin, like you need to think about this, you need to think about that. So like because all the classes on there, they're all like this. They're like sitting up straight, right? They're like
Hmm.
they're like reading a book. So Ryan Holiday saying that base in beauty is important because on Wednesday morning, February 23rd, 1944, Anne Frank climbed up the attic above the attic, blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
That's what they know, right? And then
Yeah.
what, and then what's funny is that I told my mom like, that's not my style, right?
Yeah.
And then I sent them a clip of a Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Send them a clip of a Joe Rogan just on the audio form. They're literally discussing like the difference between Fritos and Cheetos.
Yeah.
And then Joe Rogan
That's
says,
hilarious.
it's like, like a Cheetos that you don't get any of it. You just like crunch and nothing. And the Frito actually gives you the crunch. And then they're actually doing
Oh, really? That's funny.
It's like, I turn on the mic. And then mom was like, mom was like, hey, that's the stuff that I want to do because it's like me, I don't want to be sitting out straight and doing this, talking about the book and
it's not cut and dry.
Yeah, like that's not how I want to do it. But now they get it after like 20 episodes. So
no, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, it's different, just especially like how you're raised and stuff in your culture. Like it's different how people are and sort of what they like and how they're raised, like the nature versus nurture thing.
They are not exposed to what the whole podcasting world is, right? Like Chinese we are banned in like China right now. Every single Western podcast is banned in China right now. You cannot listen to Joe Rogan. You cannot listen to other stuff. So they never seen it. And then I was like, like, this is the kind of form that I want to do. And then that's why I think there's a niche in the Chinese market for this type of conversation. So that's what we've been trying to do.
Makes sense. No, makes sense. I mean, everyone tries to adopt sort of like a Western style. You know what I mean? It's very popular and stuff.
It depends. It depends on what you think about it. So
yeah, it's not. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's a lot of thing is inspired from that, or they take away like a lot of stuff from that, like everywhere, like in Peru. It's like when I was younger, when I used to go to Peru, completely different custom, different lifestyle. When I went like a few years later, when I was older, it's very similar to the U.S. It literally is. They just speak Spanish. You know what I mean? Into the same stuff. It's super interesting. Like the internet's definitely changed the world. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I think we're here. I think we should put a pause into this podcast. Not bad. I think so. Like the discussion today. So
yeah, there's so many good parts. There's one that's called Follow the Process, and Obstacle is the Way. And it says no matter where you are, you just need to follow the process. No matter where you are in your life, you got to go through with it and you got to like do it. And this really helped me when I was working, I think at Osmond. It's like when I'm working and all I'm doing is like spreadsheets every day, but I have to follow the process because if I do this, I know my next position or my next thing, I'll be even better. You know what I mean? And I'll have like different responsibilities and stuff. So it's like
it's like cooking, right? Like how would you expect yourself to be a good chef if you don't have good knife skills?
Yeah,
knife skills is a menial. I get it. I don't want to be chopping like carrots all day every day, but that's part of the fundamentals that you need to do for you to get to somewhere better.
Yeah,
you have to realize that. So
there's this one that says do your job and do it right. Doesn't matter what your job is, just do it and do the best that you can do of that job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So cool. That's all me. I'm all holidayed out.
All right, I'll holiday out. Perfect. This is Kevin signing off. This is cool.
This is Jofre signing off.
All right, have a nice day, guys. And record.